The phenomenon known as PC gaming, or virginity in more southern dialects, has been going on for quite some time. The concept is simple. You play games, but instead of playing them on a console, you play them right here on your computer. I know, it's unfathomable, I agree with you. Hello, good evening, I am Joseph Filmography, and it is with great shame that I come to you today to tell you that yes, I am a PC gamer. All jokes aside, I've been mainly playing games on my computer for a couple years at this point. I used to have this pretty high-end laptop here that I would play games on, but when that was fried by a crypto miner, thanks a lot, computer repair shop, playing games on this bad boy was no longer an option, and seeing as I needed a pretty substantial PC for my work anyways, rather than investing a little bit of money into a computer and a little bit of money into a game console, I just threw everything into this machine because I can play games on it anyways. I made a video about this when I first got it back in March actually. I wouldn't recommend you watch it because it's like an hour long, but it's there. But while I did play games on this laptop, I wouldn't say I was primarily using it. I was still primarily using my Xbox One at that point. Since getting this machine, however, I have just about exclusively played games on this, disregarding Nintendo stuff. So in the months since getting this computer, I have learned a lot about PC gaming. There's a lot of good, and there's a lot of, other stuff. So let's dive right into it and address the first question. Why PC gaming? What advantages does PC gaming bring to the forefront, and why is it something you should invest in? Well, for starters, as previously mentioned, I only had to buy one machine both for my work and the games I want to play. That saves you a lot of money in the long run. So if you need a high-end PC for work anyways, why would you invest the extra money in a console? But furthermore, the game selection on PC is astounding. I can play Halo, and Journey, and Metal Gear Solid, and Zelda, all on the same console. Because if we're talking about consoles, you need to get an Xbox to play Halo, you need to get a PS1 if you want to play Metal Gear Solid, and good luck finding one of those for a decent price these days. You need to get a Nintendo if you want to play Zelda. But depending on the Zelda game, you're going to need to get a different Nintendo. So if I want to play Breath of the Wild, I need a Switch, but if I then want to play, I don't know, Twilight Princess, now I'm going to need to get a Wii or a GameCube, or heaven forbid a Wii U. And that would be horrible. So PCs are great in that they take all of the available options and put them right there at the forefront for you. Not bad. Furthermore, on a PC, you have modding. And modding completely changes the scope of games. I think the best game to use as an example for modding would definitely be Skyrim. Skyrim is a game that came out like over a decade ago, I'm pretty sure, and it is still relevant to this day because people are constantly making mods for it. Now, what is modding, you may be asking yourself, and lucky for you, it's not actually that hard to understand. The basic concept is you have a game that has been made in a specific way, and then the players modify it. So with Skyrim here, luckily for me, someone thought it would be really cool to put Dark Souls armor in it. So I can run around with Dark Souls armor. And mods can bridge anywhere from something that could plausibly exist within the game to now the dragons are Thomas the Tank Engine. The possibilities are legitimately endless when it comes to modding. I've spent a lot of time playing modded Skyrim, and genuinely I don't know if I even would have finished one playthrough had I not been able to mod the game. Which is to say, had I been playing on console, wouldn't have ever beaten Skyrim. Modding can add a whole new layer of depth to a game, and it can really liven up the experience. If you've been playing one game the same way for a while, maybe you're sick of it, but then someone makes a mod and now it's new, it's fresh, it's interesting again. Modding is great for building a community around a game, because it's stuff that's made by the fans, for the fans. And if the game company actively encourages modding and makes it much easier for players to mod the game, then you're getting a lot more experiences made from the same game, all of them available right here on your computer. But alas, As Newton's third law says, every good thing must come with an equally terrible thing. And so does modding. This is the part where if you are of a younger age, you should probably click off of the video. I'm gonna give you a couple seconds. Okay, modders are horny. I can practically guarantee that for most of the games with an active modding community, for every one normal mod, there is at least one slightly pornographic mod. That's being generous. If you want to talk about Skyrim mods, oh boy, that's a discussion. So first off, when you're browsing mods to download, you have to be constantly checking over your shoulder to make sure no one comes in going, "What are you doing?" And furthermore, even at its simplest form, modding can be pretty complex. Especially if you're actually making mods for a game. I have tried making several mods for several games, and literally, no, I did mod Sniff It into Among Us. Fun fact, I was the first person to actually mod the characters of Among Us. But you didn't know that little fact about me. But now you do. And I can tell you're jealous. But on top of that, even just downloading mods can be complex sometimes. Like when you're downloading a mod for Skyrim, right? Let's say the Dark Souls armor, and let's say that's the only mod you want. Well, how are you going to get the Dark Souls armor? Because you have to spawn it in somehow. So you need add item menu that'll let you spawn in the Dark Souls armor. Oh, but add item menu needs this mod that reworks some of the game's code to be able to function. So now you have 2 extra mods just to get your Dark Souls armor. Except for the Dark Souls armor to actually work on your character, you need 4 new idols in Skyrim. And then that one is gonna need some different mods. So now you have like 6 mods required just to get your Dark Souls armor. And then on top of that, if you have a cape on your armor and you want your cape physics to work, now you're gonna have to get a completely new animation replacer for Skyrim. And that's gonna have its own set of required mods. And then if you want to get Dark Souls weapons to go along with your Dark Souls armor, now that's gonna require new attack animations and new physics and new this and new that. So what you end up with is for getting like 3 mods, you end up requiring 30. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing, I'm not saying like modders need to work on this, because it's cool that they're even doing this stuff. All I'm saying is it can be pretty complicated, and if you're not really into it, it's hard to justify the time you have to spend on it. I mean, when you think from the perspective that most people are kind of just looking for something to have a little fun with, modding is now sort of harder to get into. Besides, if you don't know what you're doing with modding, it can be potentially dangerous. First off, if you go on a sketchy site and download a sketchy file, boom, now your computer's got malware. All you even wanted was just to modify your game experience a little bit, and now you've lost your machine for it. That risk aside, if you download mods and you don't insert them properly, now your game's gonna be broken and you're gonna have to uninstall and reinstall the game entirely. That's a bunch of time wasted, and everyone goes through that experience at least once. There is not a single person on this planet who has been able to play games modded and has never had a mod break. Playing Dark Souls, I got banned from online just because I downloaded a mod that would make my character look a little different. Luckily, Link is online safe, and that's the one that really matters. So ultimately, given all the potential risk, plus time required to learn how to mod, plus time dedicated to getting your mods working, you've got a pretty high bar of entry for modding, and I'm perfectly set up for a dab, look at that. Would I say it's worth it? Absolutely. I have had a ton of fun experiencing all of the wonderful mods people have made for the games I love. It's a way to experience a game I already love in a new way, and that's always a good thing. Because at the end of the day, I don't have infinite money. Can't afford infinite games. So I want to get as much as I possibly can out of the games I already have. And if you're brave enough, you can even get mods working off of PCs. I've modded the absolute crap out of my DS. Here, look at this. Oh shoot, it's dying. Check that out. That's a Halo theme on there, baby. Made this Dark Souls theme myself, and I think it came out pretty well. Apparently the audio's broken, cause it's not supposed to sound like that. But hey, at least the visuals work. All in all, modding can be an absolutely wonderful experience if you're willing to dedicate the time to learn it, and you're smart with where you're getting your stuff. The rules of modding and the rules of real life are actually quite similar. Don't be stupid. As long as you keep that in mind, you'll be just fine. On the subject of modding, let's talk emulation. Emulation is essentially taking a game that is meant for one system and putting it on another. Metal Gear Solid here was meant to be played on a PlayStation 1. If you want to get Metal Gear Solid for the original PlayStation, $850. That's a tall ask. Plus, don't you forget that 20 bucks in shipping. And that's only for the game itself, because if you want to get the actual system to play it on, $2,250. Hey, you get free shipping though. And granted, that is the highest price I could find on eBay. I just thought it would be funny to say that one first. But still, we're talking about $395 that could be spent on literally anything else. Don't get me wrong, I love Metal Gear Solid, one of my favorite games I've ever played. Not worth over $1,000 to play just Metal Gear Solid. You know what's way more affordable? Emulate it. Check it out. Here I am, right now, playing Metal Gear Solid. I'm getting spotted. I am bleeding out. I am dying. I am dead. I have died. But I've done it cost effectively, baby. And Metal Gear Solid is only scratching the surface with emulation. That is one of many games that you can play emulated. Look at that. Mariokart on the big screen. Now, granted, that's not to say every single aspect of emulation is gonna work properly. But the fact that it runs as well as it does is definitely worth something. I mean, look at that. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Absolutely magnificent. Now, while I do enjoy playing my 3DS games on a bigger screen, emulation is far more important than just that. Through emulation, you can give old games new life, and games that would have died out and been long forgotten can be remembered and even revitalized through emulation. So in conclusion, emulation, beyond just being a fun experiment, is an important tool in conserving video game history and making sure beautiful games are never forgotten. The integrations with PC gaming, I hope that's the right word, are phenomenal. Because what you've got here is one machine on which I can play my games, I can record the gameplay, I can then edit that footage on the same machine and post that video to YouTube all on the same machine. That's not bad. That is one machine that you're getting all of that functionality out of. I make music on here, I use Blender, I use Photoshop, Premiere, After Effects, all of this stuff right here on this beautiful machine. And one other thing I should probably mention, I'm fairly certain at some point in my first video, I said I really love the colors of this thing, but I was sure it was a novelty that was gonna wear off after a while. It hasn't. Sometimes I sit here and I don't even play things, I just look at my computer. And I feel happy. Spent a lot of money on this machine and I don't know, it looks nice. It looks nice, what do you want from me? It's pretty, look at it. You're gonna tell me the flashing lights aren't pretty? You should tell that to my neighbors across the street. See what they think. It's Christmas season and you should see their house. You should see your house. This is what your house looks like, I'll bet. Right now. Go outside and look at your house. Look at your Christmas tree and tell me it doesn't look like this, but worse. My computer's more festive than you'll ever be. Shut up. The whole reason I was even inspired to make this video in the first place is because of a video by Strixo called Modern Warfare Remastered Sucks. In this video, he talks about the issues surrounding the PC version of Modern Warfare Remastered, where the game is just unlaunchable. You just can't launch it, because to launch the game, it has to create a file in a certain place, and it just doesn't. And I have had my fair share with this sort of issue. First issue I want to bring up that'll tie back to a previous point is Skyrim. As previously mentioned, when I played Skyrim, it was on this machine, this one right here. And I played Skyrim with a lot of mods, but when I moved all of my data from this machine to this machine, all of my mods broke. All of them. See, at the very least, when I had to delete and re-download all of my mods before because they were broken, I could at least document all of the ones that I really wanted to re-download. Now I have no idea what all I had, and no idea where to get all of it again, because it was all on various different websites. So since getting this machine, I haven't touched Skyrim because I haven't wanted to spend the time working on the mods. Now that's more of a specific example to me, because that's not going to happen unless you're transferring your data from one PC to another. And anytime you're transferring data between machines, something is possible to get lost, especially if it's something you've modified. You know, it's not a specific example to me. Let's talk about a little bitty game you may have heard of called Elden Ring. Spent a lot of money on a good computer that would run well. Literally, when I was talking to the guys in the PC shop, I said I want it to play Halo Infinite, play Elden Ring, run Blender, and run my music software. If it can do all of those things perfectly, then that's the perfect machine. And that's what I got. And I can prove it to you. I have footage of me playing Elden Ring from my last video. I have this footage of Elden Ring running at a perfect frame rate with no hiccups whatsoever at max graphics settings. Again, I don't require max graphics settings, but my PC could handle it, so I was gonna play with it, because I could. And then one fateful day, everything changed. At this point, it was back in the spring, so I can't even remember what exactly happened. I don't know if it was on the game's end or on my computer's end, but either the game got an update or my computer got an update. And I don't know what to do about this. Now, I'm not gonna pretend that this game is completely unplayable in its current state. It is most certainly not. But I'm also not gonna pretend this looks as good as, say, I don't know, this. My point is, when Elden Ring came out, I could play it perfectly fine, and now I can't. And it's hard to want to finish the game knowing that I have a machine that should be able to run it. It could run Elden Ring, and now it just can't. So I haven't finished the game, because why would I? I can just wait for an update to come out, or I can wait to have enough money to justify buying a new Xbox, and I'll get Elden Ring on that. Honestly, I would rather play Elden Ring at a consistent 30 frames per second at minimum graphics settings than be getting this. This is bad. And it sucks, because it's like, I didn't do anything. My computer just updated, or the game updated, and now Elden Ring just doesn't agree with my computer anymore. They hate each other, they're beefing. So I'm just gonna play Dark Souls 3, because why would I go back to Elden Ring now? Halo Infinite, even in the open world, actually runs very well on my computer, but sometimes even Halo Infinite gets stuck up and stutters a little bit. I'm not gonna pretend it's a huge deal. It's not like Elden Ring where it discourages me from playing the game, but it happens and I notice it. And another thing I should mention is that you can enable like overclock mode on your GPU, but it literally says, hey, this can damage your graphics card. So I don't know why you would ever enable overclock mode, because if that's a warning label, I'm not gonna enable a setting that directly tells me, hey, this will break your computer. I'm not gonna do that. If a game requires me to be willing to break my computer in order for it to work on my machine, I'm not gonna play it. Because I like this. I like my computer. Aww. So at the end of the day, PC gaming. Is it worth it? I don't know. Maybe. Like everything else that exists on the planet, PC gaming has its ups and it has its downs. Personally, I really love playing games on this because it's very convenient having one machine that I can do all of my stuff on. On top of that, I love modding games. I've done a lot of really small things. I took Halo Wars and I gave you more Spartans to play around with. I took Lego Star Wars 3 and I put some Republic Commando music in it. I put Sniff It in Among Us. I did that. This idiot. If I can do it, anyone can do it. And that's what's kind of great about it. It's very customizable at a cost. Do I love it? Yes. But does it make my head hurt? Yes. That is the end of the video. Goodbye.